Hey, what's going on, my friend? It's Jeff Newpert from ChasingStrength.com. And in today's video, we are going to answer the question, what is the fastest way to get stronger? So if you're interested in getting stronger like I am, at least stronger than you are now, however you want to measure getting stronger, right, then my answer in this video may surprise you. And that's because my answer is not a one size fits all answer. Okay. So let me explain what I mean by that. Well, back in the olden days, right, back when we were kids, the answer was either put more weight on the bar or do more reps or a combination of the two, right? And you know what? That absolutely works like a champ when you're 18, 21, 23, 25 in that range, right? Average age 22. But when you're 32, 42, 52, 62, even older, well, then it may work, but it may not. So here are three methods I want to share with you that I've personally used along with my private clients over the last 15, 20 years or so to help us get stronger when the normal answers that we just covered no longer seem to work for you, okay? So number one is fix your injuries, get out of pain, and regain your mobility. Let's face it, being in pain sucks. If you've ever had chronic knee issues or back issues or hip issues, you know that you can't work out the way you used to or the way you want to, right? And not working out because you're in pain sucks even more, right? I know, look, I've been there. I've done that. I've gotten the t-shirt. I've even mowed the lawn in the t-shirt for Pete's sake. But pushing through the pain only makes the pain worse. It continues to damage the affected areas. And what most people don't know is that the brain will start to shut off or at very least decrease the neural drive, AKA what some people call the nerve force, right? Quotes, nerve force, right? To the affected area or areas. And this makes those muscles weaker and reinforces what are called movement compensation patterns and then creates new ones. Now, a movement compensation pattern is a faulty or aberrant way of moving. It's not the naturally designed way of moving, okay? And that can be bad because that creates more pain and wears down joints and frays muscles and tendons and so on and so forth, the more you engage those movement compensations, okay? So also the harder you push through the pain, the more your body will rebel against you, especially if you load yourself heavy or high reps or, ignore the pain like I did, right? And I mean, literally you end up painting yourself in the proverbial corner like I did back in 2006, when essentially the only two exercises I could do that didn't cause excruciating pain in my knees were the single kettlebell clean and press, shocking there, and surprisingly chin-ups, right? Plus, when you push through the pain, you'll increase both local and systemic inflammation. And you know what? That's not necessarily a great thing for at least three reasons. One, it jacks up your cortisol levels, which then in turn chews up muscle and lays down new body fat. Those are all wonderful things. We all love that, right? It jacks up your arousal and anxiety levels, which can increase your chronic stress levels, which can lead to sleep problems, or if you're lucky, more sleep problems, which will also increase your cortisol levels and so on. It's like a vicious loop, right? And then number three is living in pain or pushing through the pain, excuse me, right? Training through the pain, pushing through it drives up all the negative blood markers, right? That we don't want. It starts to rob you of your health, increasing your risk for type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and everyone's favorite, the big C, cancer. And that's because of the previous two issues, okay? Does that sound melodramatic? Well, honestly, it's not. Research is crystal clear on the link between chronic stress, chronic inflammation, cancer, and even our favorite coronary heart disease. Okay, everybody's favorite. While working out is certainly great and awesome, working out and pushing through pain will work against you in the long run. All right. So, same thing with trying to force your body into ranges of motion it doesn't have. The end result is injury. Okay. So, spend however long it takes to fix yourself and then work around your issues in the process. Okay. What does that look like per se, right? What's an example? Well, I actually did this for a full 18-month period from September 2010 to April 2012. And I gave up all kettlebell and barbell lifting. And I gave up actually most posterior chain lifting and did primarily anterior chain dominant bodyweight exercises and crawling, believe it or not, crazy loaded crawling. And it was one of the most productive training periods of my life. And honestly, what was pretty crazy is I used recently a new type of restoration program that I guess I've been using it for probably 4 or 5 years now. I guess 2019 or so. And right, I'm in my early 50s, and I always put restoration work in because I like to train hard and heavy, okay, or at least hard and heavy for me. And the restoration work allows me to do that. I think of the restoration work as vegetables and the weight training as the steak. Okay, so if you think about a plate, steak, weight training, restoration work, vegetables. So I don't like eating vegetables, but I like steak, and I want to eat a lot more steak, so I'm going to eat a lot of vegetables. Okay. So using a new restoration program, newish, that I started in 2019. Recently, during the Christmas break, actually it's the 23rd of December, I managed to lift a weight for sets and reps that I hadn't lifted since I was 23, back in 96, 97, before I accumulated all these wonderful injuries that I accumulated from being a knucklehead and training too hard, too often, too heavy when I wasn't fully recovered. I'll leave a link in the description below if this stuff sounds like it applies to you. You can check that program out if you want, okay? Because I'm pretty sure it'll work for you too. Works for pretty much everybody who tries it, judging from the reports that we're getting in. So number two, okay, the number two way to get stronger is to get rid of excess and unnecessary body fat. You know, it's interesting. It's right around the turn of the new year, and I was recently talking to a client about this in one of our private coaching calls, and there just seems to be this, I mean, it's kind of frustrating, hard to explain, but it's, for lack of a better term, it's a stigma around failing to get rid of body fat, right? We end up condemning ourselves and living in guilt and shame. It just doesn't need to be that way. If you have tried to lose body fat and failed, no big deal, man. You fell off the horse, just get back on the horse, right? I often say it's like if you're riding your bike in the middle of the road and you fall over, do you lie in the middle of the road and whine and complain and wait for cars to hit you, or you just get up, brush yourself off, and get on your bike and get going, right? It's the second. But with trying to lose body fat, or attempting to lose body fat is probably a better word, we tend to behave in the first way, right? We fail and we're like, oh, I can't do it. All right. Anyway, I'm on my soapbox, my high horse, whatever. I'll get off. I'll step down. I won't get off. Okay. So let's just stop doing that. Let's stop behaving that way and see getting rid of body fat and getting lean as a process, and just acknowledge that since the last process you used didn't work for you, it might have been the wrong process. Okay. Let's just say, hey, I might have been wrong with this. It's the wrong process for me. Okay. And then we can move on. So let's also acknowledge that excess body fat, according to the scientific research, decreases our anabolic hormone production, right? What is our anabolic hormone production? That's our testosterone, or our T, our growth hormone, and IGF-1. And that means with excess body fat, we end up losing muscle and strength and age faster. And here's the nasty part: we die sooner than we should, okay? We don't wear out, we just rust out. The truth is, for the exact same reason, excess body fat also makes it harder to get stronger. All right, let me repeat that. Excess body fat makes it harder for you to get stronger. Okay, again, that's because the body fat suppresses your anabolic hormones. So for some folks, maybe this is you, the fastest way to get stronger is to prioritize getting rid of excess body fat. So your testosterone, your growth hormone, and your IGF-1 work the way they're intended and the way they're designed, so you end up getting leaner and stronger with less effort. Okay, you can use the regular approach or the fast, rapid approach. If you're like most Westerners, you'll probably want a fast approach, okay? Interesting, I use this same approach that I'm going to advocate you use. I did it back in April of 2012. I did it for 29 days, okay, because that's how long the program is, and I did it immediately following that restoration period. And it worked great. I dumped about 8, 9, 10 pounds, lost some body fat, put on some muscle, and regain some of the strength that I lost from not doing some specific kettlebell work. Okay. So if you're interested in the rapid fat loss approach, I'll leave a link for a rapid fat loss program, which I think you're going to like. I'll leave that in the description below. Okay. And the number three fastest way to get stronger, which is probably the most counterintuitive way I'm going to talk about in today's video, or maybe not. Maybe you thought the last two were pretty counterintuitive, but this certainly is counterintuitive, and it's almost contrarian, okay? And it is do the opposite or close to it of what you've been doing, okay? So let's break that down a little bit. Assuming you're healthy and you're good with how much body fat you have, take a look at your training journal and then do the opposite of what you've been doing. So for example, if you've been doing lower reps, move to a higher rep range. And conversely, if you've been using higher reps, move to a lower rep range. If you've been taking long rests, use shorter rests, and vice versa. And if you've been lifting slower, lift faster, more explosively. And if you've been using single kettlebells, challenge yourself to learn the double kettlebell lifts and then use them, right? Conversely, if you've been using primarily double kettlebell lifts, challenge your stabilization strength and shore up any asymmetries or side-to-side weaknesses you may have by running a cycle or two, right? 6, 8, 10, 12, even 16 weeks of single kettlebell work, okay? And finally, if you're used to using high frequency training or high frequency, low volume training, move to lower frequency, higher volume training, right? And vice versa. and so on. You get the idea, right? Just make sure at the end of the day, you're tracking your training so you can measure your progress. All right. For example, if you enjoy the clean and press, the Giant X2, which is one of my newer programs, uses the double clean and press, the double push press, and the seesaw press. So there are several opposites in there for you. I'll leave a link for that in the description below. Hopefully this gives you some ideas, especially if you stalled out last year and want to make this year different and stronger. Okay. And hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, click the like button. If you haven't done so already, click the subscribe button. Feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below. And if you found it really helpful, please share it with a friend, family member. And of course, these videos can be shared across all of social media. All right. Until next time, my friend, stay strong.